Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Coin Republic podcast. My name is Shor Bacharya. We have been doing a lot of podcasts lately with founders of different metaverses, talking about augmented reality, talking about artificial intelligence and augmented reality. Today is another addition to that line of podcasts. We're going to talk about Over. What is Over? Over is an open-end mixed reality metaverse that merges physical and virtual worlds to create a new dimension where users can augment and enhance their reality all through the lens of their smartphone. Sounds exciting? Well, Over uses NFTs called overlands as spatial domains. Each NFT overland is a 300 square kilometer hexagon that represents a geographical location. There are 1.6 trillion overlands overlaid over the real world in the same way that internet domain owners control and content on their websites. So owners of overlands can decide what types of AR or VR content will be experienced over the real world. Their native token, it's called OVR. Their marketplace, it is called overthereality.ai. I am joined with the CMO, correct me if I'm wrong,
the
COO of Overland. Please welcome Mr. Diego Di Tommaso.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for having me here.
All right. Well, sometimes the lines of a CEO and a CMO and a COO gets murky. So tell me, what do you guys actually do? I just gave them an overall example of what you guys represent. At least that's what's written on your social media. But I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. You guys have designed it. You guys know the operation. So what is Over?
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. So actually, you give a very good description. But if I can add to that and get into even higher level, really our vision is to augment the physical world with the AR experiences. So the idea is to create this digital layer where information is not anymore displayed on 2D screens where basically you just write some text or see some videos, but they basically have the reality around you that is merged with 3D asset and informations. And right now we can visualize it using, for example, smartphones that superimpose reality with AR assets. But the real vision is to build this platform for the next future interfaces that are smart glasses. So we really see AR as the new means to interact with the information, a new brain-computer interface. And I think that also, the Vision Pro really push us in that direction. So the idea is that in the future, we will live in an augmented world. And we believe that it's very important that we build a layer that is decentralized, is not controlled by the FANG. It's not anymore FANG because Facebook renamed it itself. But anyway, not controlled by the big companies, but basically a less extractive economy. Because we really believe that this will be the new layer of information. So it's very important that this layer is decentralized. Otherwise, we will have a very strong gatekeepers that will decide what content we have over there. And so this is the feature of the future we are building towards. And as you described very brilliantly, I mean, the system is made out of 3 main layers. So one is the ownership layer. He was referring to the OVR lens, basically this spatial domain. So we think about this, you gave that good example about web domains. So it's just like publishing the web, but in space. And so also, when we refer to lands, this is more like, it's not really like buying a land, it's more like registering a domain, but this domain is not a web domain, but it's a spatial domain. So you publish in space. Then we have another system we will talk later. The second layer is the mapping layer, and then we have a builder layer. So the mapping layer allows you to have precision, because once, yes, you have publishing rights in a location, for example, you buy the Colosseum, you want to publish something there, you have another problem. The problem is how you make sure the content will be really there, because the GPS is not enough for precision, and especially indoor, this is the case. And third, of course, you need some tools to publish things. So we have this builder layer where we have two very powerful tools. One is a web builder, where you just drag and drop 3D files or NFTs that you own, and you can publish it in space. And also we have a Unity SDK. So for skilled developers, you will be able to create even games inside of this platform. And that's it at a very, very high level.
I specifically love the concept of the Lost Wallet as a cross-metaverse initiative to boost the Web3 ethos, collaboration rather than competition. So would you like to share some details about your flagship gaming series, what it would entail, and which metaverses are supported? If you could give us a little bit of hint.
Yes, of course. This is this whole project was born by, an idea from John Karp, that is the founder of the NFC conference in Lisbon, and the idea is really to concretely showcase what is the Web3 ethos. The opportunity to bring together all of the major metaverses in the space, and we are talking about us, the Decentralized, Spatial, Sandbox, many others. All of them are there basically, and having a game that you can play across the metaverse. And this is the very powerful idea. I think not even the game itself, but really the idea that we really showcase how and what it means to have an open metaverse. So what it means to be able to collaborate and cross different domains. The way that the game works, there are 24 words that controls a wallet that basically are hidden inside of many different metaverses. So you will have to go through all of them to collect and to actually find the word in each one of the metaverses to get access to the wallet that will actually give you a CryptoPunk. So this is a very, very big prize. And in our specific case, that also was the first opportunity to showcase a technology that we are building that we call OverAI, that basically is leveraging the large language models to create NPCs. And so in this case, the NPCs were trained as part of the story. And the interesting thing is that this is not the plain vanilla NPC that are used to work with, because they are large language models. So yes, they will give you the right answer if you ask them the right question, but you can talk with them about whatever. So it's really, the next level NPCs. And this was, the first opportunity to showcase what we're building. And what they're building is this OverAI system. There will be NFTs that allow basically to give intelligence to agents. And agents can be, avatars, humanoid avatars like ours, but it can be actually any NFT. And the thing that we really care about in building this system is building it based on open source software. So
I was just about to ask that, because your biggest competitor of some sort, ChatGPT, is closed source, and you guys are open sourced. So any particular reason why you chose to be open source?
Yeah, there are two main reasons for that, maybe three, but let's break it down.
Okay.
So the first one, of course, ChatGPT, you cannot do whatever you like with it. Of course, they censor the contents, they control how the language model is behaving, because of course they have some responsibilities and some guidelines. So you have two problems with that. First of all, of course, you're not really free to create whatever character you want. And second, you rely on a third party that maybe someday will decide that your business model or what you're doing, they don't like it anymore and they will switch it off. So, we are in Web3, we don't like this kind of stuff. So this is a first no-go for us for using ChatGPT. And of course, that would be the easiest thing, because you just plug in some APIs and that's it. The second reason is that basically this OverAI NFT that will encode the intelligence will actually encode the character and the knowledge of these intelligences. And the interesting thing is that character and this knowledge can actually be plugged in to many different large language models. And also, when you're working with open source software, right now, I think that we live in a strange moment. There is a really strange thing that happened with ChatGPT, because, usually in AI, open source software always outperforms closed source software. Actually, with GPT-4 and GPT-3, ChatGPT, I think that's really OpenAI have an epiphany. I mean, they was able to create these models that outperform all the open source stuff out there. But this will not be the case in the long term. In fact, we already see many models that are starting to reach and outperform ChatGPT, and those are open source. And actually, also are smaller models. Because the last thing, but not the least probably, is that if you use OpenAI models, you will have to pay them to use that, and those are massive models at a cost. So if you want to distribute this system like in a freemium model, you will have a very hard time to do that because you will have a direct cost to do this, and a cost that is very high because the cost is by tokens. The tokens in that case is not crypto tokens, but is pieces of words, and this scales up very fast, especially when you create engaging conversations. And so the final reason is also that if you want to scale it, you cannot do it economically with using just some APIs. And I don't know, I don't want to go too long on the question, but it's very exciting for me. We have one last feature that we didn't announce it yet, but we can give some hint right now. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the concept of ERC 6551. So the opportunity to give ownership of stuff to NFTs. So the idea is that, since the launch, this overall NFTs will be NFTs that will be able to own stuff. So NFTs that can own other NFTs, NFTs that can own tokens and any other digital asset. So this is a very powerful idea that we are still really fully unfolding. But basically, you have a large language model that can own stuff. You have an AI that has a kind of bank account in Ethereum, in AVM compatible blockchains. And so this is something that is very exciting. But could be a very impactful thing. Also
that
because.
Yeah, that is fantastic. That sounds so fantastic. The idea of ownership of other NFTs to an original NFT, that is fantastic.
Yeah, but also you need to think that this original NFT actually have an intelligence plug to it. So it could also perform things like buying and selling things, or paying other entities to do stuff. So because these large language models are very flexible, and I think many of you also have heard about agents, and so these large language models will like long chain and so on. So there are all of these models that basically can actually perform tasks. So what if these models not only can perform tasks, but can also have some economic value under their control? So this is very exciting. We still have to understand what are all the ramifications of that. But by default at the beginning, these brains, these AIs, will be able to own digital assets.
No, that's a fantastic use case. Let's talk about your token, OVR. It is currently traded on Ethereum and Polygon chains. In the industry, there are right now many blockchain companies that are working on metaverse projects. So NFTs being built on Cardano, many different crypto coins. In order to make your ecosystem truly decentralized, are there any plans to onboard other chains as well? If so, how do you secure these cross-chain transactions, given that cross-chain bridges and side chains are sometimes vulnerable in terms of security attacks?
So we launched our project we started thinking about this in 2018, and we launched it in 2020. I remember back then, was not so clear that Ethereum was the big winner in the smart contract chains. And so we was also considering other chains, like, for example, Ethos, back then was a big thing. But then, basically, we made this choice with this rationale. We said, yes, we're already building something very risky because, this is a startup. This is now it's a little bit less crazy idea, but back then was a very crazy idea. Nobody talked about metaverses and stuff like that, and AR and VR was not really a thing. So we say, okay, let's minimize the risk at least when we talk about the base layer we are built on. So that was the reason why we went on Ethereum. and that is that, so was to say, okay, we take the risk of the entrepreneurship, let's say, of building, a very, very, crazy idea and big idea, but we don't also take the risk of the protocol. And so that's why we built on Ethereum, because was and still is, the most used blockchain out there. And then we decided to also open to other layer twos, like, for example, Polygon, because of the gas fees. Because as all of us might remember, during the bull run, it was basically impossible to mint NFTs if they didn't have a big value. And in our case, buying a land is very cheap. It's between $10 and $100. So in some cases, the cost of the mint was bigger than actually
the land itself.
The value on the primary market of the NFT. So that's why we went on Polygon, and we choose Polygon because they're very close to Ethereum, and also their bridge is still not a native bridge like a full-fledged layer 2 like Optimism or other ZK rollup layer 2s, but still it's a very, very closed ecosystem. So our idea is, yes, to expand to other layer 2s, but we are not really looking that much in moving to other alternative layer 1s. Also because, again, it's about the risk. Because being in a chain that has no traction anymore, it's a very, very big risk for your project. So, like, for example, the example I was giving of EOS. If we were on EOS, I guess that we didn't have the success that we are having, just because, there's no people there anymore. And so we are really looking into expand in all of the AVM compatible chains that have traffic and have users. But at the moment, we are quite happy with the configuration that we have. So if in the future there will emerge a layer 2, maybe a ZK rollup that will take a lot of traction, we will for sure be there. But for the moment, we don't see yet a winner. So we just stay here and see what is going to happen.
Correct. Let's talk about something that is fundamentally philosophical, right? Regarding decentralized metaverse infrastructure, you got these big companies like Apple, Amazon, Facebook, especially Meta, right? Facebook, Meta. They're trying to create their own metaverse with their own controversies, and you guys are doing your own stuff. So I want to hear it from your perspective. How do you philosophically create a decentralized metaverse?
Yeah, it was. I was anticipating a little bit at the beginning. So, all of these economies that this Web 2 economy that we're very, very familiar with are very, very extractive economies. Basically, they are attention farmers. There's creators that build amazing content, and they get very few likes or sometimes some bucks, maybe also for their creation. But like 90% of the value is retained by, these big companies, the big, let's say, gatekeepers. And I think that, Web3 is really the opportunity to break this system and to give back the value to the people that creates the valuable thing that is the content at the end of the day. So we believe that, again, as I was mentioning at the beginning, this is the future of brain-computer interface. We believe that the AR will be the way we will interact with information. So we believe that it's critical that an alternative to these big companies exist. And then let's see what is going to happen, because also about creators. People after a while probably will understand that they can choose where to create, and they can understand that they can have a different value back or different retention of the content they create. So because if you create something on YouTube, is it still yours? Can you bring it to another platform? Yes, maybe in another meta platform, but not really in others. So, the fact that we have this this powerful concept of NFTs that can basically encode ownership of digital assets, to me, it's just a no-brainer. So, I think really that the creators will drive the new wave of, let's call it the metaverse or the spatial web or whatever is the new cool term, and creators will understand that the right way to do it is through decentralized system, through a Web3 system. And finally, really, we think that we see these big companies right now as the gatekeepers, and we believe that this gatekeeping will be even stronger with AR, because as we will talk about later, in order to build an AR metaverse, you need a system to locate you in space, because you need to have a map of the world. So who will have this map of the world will have the control of the gate of this AR metaverse, this augmentation of the physical world. So we think that is really critical that us or somebody else build this system. And also this comes to again what I was referring before about this open metaverse idea, this collaboration. I mean, we don't see other AR metaverse really as competitors, but I mean as co-competitors or collaborators, because we need to remember that the world.
You just read my mind. I was just about to ask you a question about your competitor, but go on.
Yeah, I know, because the world is huge, and we want to augment it with interesting content, because I mean these digital layers without interesting content, nobody will be there. And if we all embrace this ethos of Web3 and using assets that are cross-metaverse, I mean, we all win, because if there is other AR metaverse that build content that can be visualized with different apps, for example, with Over, and with other apps that exist out there. So we really see ourselves at a very high level as a way to connect AR content to physical locations. And so I believe and I hope that in the future will be many companies that does that, and we will have different browsers. Like right now we have, we have different web browsers that will look at different domains. So they will look at Over domain, they will look at other AR metaverses domain, and you will just decide what content to browse. Maybe a location will have different content. Other locations will have content only from one platform and not in another. But I mean, really, there's no reason to compete here. I mean, this space is huge. We are talking about augmenting the whole world. And so I think that really all the companies that are coming and building in this system and embrace this ethos, I think that are totally welcome. And I have to say that from my experience, this ethos is real. At least with the big companies that we have out there. I mean, not companies, let's call them projects, like, for example, Sandbox or Decentralized. I mean, they are the big ones out there, yet they are super happy to collaborate with projects like us that are much more smaller. I mean, we did the Metaverse Fashion Week together with the Decentralized. We had the asset from Sandbox that you can take out of Sandbox and control in AR on Over. So really, this is happening, and people that are driving these projects are really aligned with this idea of building an open metaverse. So if we keep it real, if we keep the ethos and we go in that direction, I think that we have all of the projects that will come have a bright future in front of us.
Let's talk about a couple of your unique selling propositions. I'm glad that you gave a couple of exclusives to us right in the beginning, announcing your new ideas and all of that. You also said there are no competitors. There are co-operators, I believe you said, right? So yeah. HoloLens, HoloKit, and Magic Leap, whose AR is quite standard too. I mean, they too have iOS and Android compatibility. What sort of compatible services do you have that entices the public?
Yeah, so we are hardware agnostic, so we don't embrace a specific hardware. So right now, I mean, our main focus has been building an app that works well on Android and iOS, but just because there is market penetration, so everybody has a smartphone in his pocket, basically. And so that's why we built over there. Yet we are really actively looking at building also a version of the app that works for smart glasses. So we have some use cases for Magic Leap, some examples, and but the point is that nobody really has Magic Leap, so that didn't get so much attention and so much development up to the moment. So we believe that the big wave of adoption will come with Apple, because Apple just historically usually doesn't miss with product launches. So even if we have a very big price tag for this one, this is just the first model. There will be many others later on the roadmap. And so the first device that we will aggressively integrate will be the Vision Pro. And let's see if other devices come out that have high quality and have a widespread adoption enough. We will also be there. I mean, again, the idea is that at a high level in the future, over will be seen just as a layer. So just as a layer where all of these hardwares have a browser to look content into. Right now, we are building specific apps for each one of those. But really, the future is that they will just tap in this connection between AR and digital locations and physical locations.
And touching upon the similar concept of AI, there is an ongoing debate over the use of AI generative bots with Writers Guild of America. They are striking, media, content creators protesting. Many people is literally panicking that their jobs are going to be lost. So, you know, what do you think? Is this going towards damnation, or is this going towards something positive, since you guys are creating an open source place that other people could also use? What are your take on that?
Well, it's a difficult question. I mean, I think that, first of all, there's nothing that we can do about it. We just need to embrace it because, I mean, you cannot, swim against the stream. So these models will be out there more and more and will be more and more powerful. So I think that the only thing that we can do is learn how to use these systems and also trying to see them in a different way. So I think that the right way, and the way that actually I use, for example, ChatGPT or Bard or other systems that are out there, is more like as intelligence augmentation rather than a substitution. So, you know, for example, if I need to write something, maybe I write a piece and then I ask ChatGPT to give me a different version or give me other ideas on that. So, and it's quite interesting because very often it comes out with things that I didn't think about. And so it's a tool that can help us to expand our capabilities. And also, you know, in some way, again, thinking of this as a tool, also if we talk about creating, 2D pictures or maybe very soon also 3D pictures, I think this is a very powerful tool that give us the capability to everybody to become an artist. You know, an artist is a combination of two things. The idea and the capability of bringing this idea to reality. So the capability, for example, to draw. But, you know, not all of us have the capability to draw, but maybe have the capability to dream and have a very great concept. So, I mean, I also see these tools as giving the opportunity to people that maybe are creative people, but doesn't have the technical capability to draw or do things like that, to liberate their imagination. So I think that this, rather than substituting human creativity, will be an enhancement for human creativity. And we allow people that had some limitations that could not create before to actually create. I remember I was lucky enough to meet, for example, Beeple. I think I was in Laguna Beach last year, and I was talking with him about this creative, AIs that can create like Midjourney and so on. And quite surprisingly, he was super exciting about that and say, yeah, this is an amazing tool. I mean, I can create things that I could not create. I can create very fast. I can sketch things that maybe would take a lot of time to me. I can have many other ideas. So I think that many artists are embracing this. And of course, the people is still building everything by himself because he's amazing and he do one every day. But yeah, really, I think that starting from the point that there's nothing we can do, this thing is going to progress and is going to progress very fast. The right thing to do is seeing it as a tool to augment our capabilities. And who knows, the singularity is near maybe. So maybe these machines will start to think by themselves and build things really in a way incomparable to us. But let's see, for the moment, those are amazing tools and let's use that.
So, Map to Earn feature on the platforms aims to establish a more efficient GPS. I found it particularly interesting that the positioning system leverages the techniques of SLAM to include the four-dimension time. So, would you like to elaborate on the technology? What advantages does the information of time in the geopositioning, mapping, and tracking have for a user? Also, do you have any plans to leverage it for the general usability? Have any plans, in geo positioning system, or is it going to be a restricted use in the over metaverse, the GPS system and map to learn?
Yeah. Sorry, I dropped off at the moment for a moment, but I guess that I got your question. So, yeah, Matuearn is I think that is the most critical component of our platform, and because of what I was referring at the beginning. So, we all imagine this merge between the AR and the physical world, but we never seen that in real happening. And there is a reason why we never see it happening, because in order to really merge the physical and the virtual, you need this system that is not the GPS. Because the GPS, in the best scenario, has 4 meters, 6 meters precision. So let's say that you want to, augment a statue or augment a shop window. So if you have an imprecision of 4 to 6 meters, the thing that you want to put there will not be there and will not be contextualized, will not be merged with the physical world. So really, without this computer vision system to locate you in space, you cannot build an AR metaverse. So the companies that will control this system will have really the control on the portal to this metaverse. So this is even stronger of what is Google with the web, because basically you cannot really build the AR without the data of the space around you. And that's because companies like Niantic, Google, Microsoft, they're building their own systems to do this. And so the way it works is that if you want to locate an asset in space, the system need to know in advance how the 3D structure of that location is made. So in order to do that, we build this system that we call Map to Earn, and that allows to everybody to just take out his phone, his smartphone, and it works with any smartphone. You don't need LiDAR or things like that, just an RGB camera.
And as Mr. Diego is talking about Map to Earn, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I dropped off. So yeah,
no worries.
The way it works is that any user that has the app just can take some pictures of a location. It's taking the picture about one of our hexagons that is 300 square meters. It takes around 3 to 5 minutes to do that. And once we have these pictures, we use AI to basically create a point cloud of this location. So we have the 3D structure of the location, and we have one more thing. So the other thing is that we can build a nerve, a neural render of the location. So a nerve is an hallucination by a neural network about how is the location. So you can have a fly through, you can have a flight path, you can move around this location, having points of view that you didn't take pictures of. So you take a picture over there, the neural network can imagine where is the point of view from here. So it's a kind of a 3D model. It's kind of different concept of that, but the result is kind of like a 3D model. So this enables another very, very powerful thing that is a digital twin. So once you map a location, you can also have a representation of that location. You can navigate to that location remotely. So in these ways, basically, we are merging what is the idea of AR and what is the idea of VR. So you have a place, you can augment it with an AR thing, with an AR object, and you will have the experience really in the location when you're there. But if you're not there remotely, you can still visit that location like a reconstruction with this neural render. So we call these overmaps and digital twins. So because it's not really only having AR, but it's also reproducing the location and being able to visit it from far away. And the important thing is that this data, this map is owned by the people that create it. So this is really a way to create this metaverse together. So the users that go out there and map location retain the value of their work, of what they do. And collaboratively, by doing that, they create a system where you can locate assets in space. So that is why, to us, this is so crucial and the most important part of the system. And also, we have a campaign that actually will go on. I was referring to this incentivization model because, of course, I mean, we have right now more than 1,000 people that are mapping the world. They generated 15,000 of these maps. That is more than it's like around 4 million square meters already mapped. And yes, they're doing with the random extraction. So the way we incentivize them is using Chainlink to do a random extraction on the people in the map. So every map is like a ticket of the lottery, let's say. But what we are going to introduce now is a more compelling incentivization that is basically actually putting a price on specific locations that we want to map. And so let's say you map a location in Central Park, you will get $2 from us if you sell us the map. Otherwise, you can take it for yourself and don't get the money. Right. So we basically will put prices on any location that you want to map. And this is also crucial to us because if you think this idea of mapping the world is a very crazy idea. So the world is huge. There are big companies doing that and so on. And so the point is that we need to say where we want to map because the world is huge. And I mean, there are places that nobody cares about mapping. So we are lucky on this part because with our lands that we was referring at the beginning, we sold 870,000 of these lands to more than 30,000 people, and this is a huge wisdom of the crowds on what are the good locations in the world because basically people voted with their money by buying these lands. What are the good locations in the world? So basically, we have this heat map in the world on what are the places where people vote more. So we will start incentivizing the locations where people vote more because basically it's like people voting and say, yes, this place is important. So this new incentivization model will be really geared toward this idea. So giving a bigger incentive for mapping locations that are important and less for locations that are not important. And besides that, the system is permissionless, so anybody can map whatever he likes. It's just that we will incentivize the locations that we care about.
Okay, fantastic. As the internet connection is winding up, it's a great indicator to end the podcast, but I do have to ask you an important question. Your resume is star-studded. You have been a senior advisor at PwC and a co-founder of Unicorn Trainers Club. Mm-hmm. So your experience thus far has been quite diverse. Now that you are in charge of the operations of Over, you're also overlooking the community. What makes this company special? What makes the community special in parting words?
Well, I mean, I think that, I think that, all the experiences that I have in my past life in some way bring me towards this path, bring me towards, this big project that probably is the biggest project of my life so far, and maybe it's even the biggest forever because this is really huge what we're building. And so I think that all that I did before really give me some hints on what I should do over there. And anyway, building Over, it's really a new thing, so it's very difficult to learn lessons from traditional businesses. But yes, there are some things that you still apply over there, like, for example, in the organization of the company. Yet, of course, as you mentioned, this is different because this is a Web3 company, so this is really based on the community. And I think that what is interesting on Over, and what we try to communicate as Ethos, or what we do, is that really you can build this. So yes, we build the tools, so we build the infrastructure, but the most important thing, the content and the maps are generated by the community. And since we are natively in Web3, people can own this stuff. And what they create here, they can use it also elsewhere. So again, referring to this interoperability we was talking about before. If you build something that is a 3D asset, is a 3D standard represented by an NFT on over, you can use it in other metaverses, and you can do the same on the opposite side. And on the other side, yeah, I mean, also regarding the mapping, what I was mentioning, all of these fantastic people that help us to refine the system, build it, and are already starting creating these maps, are basically building this metaverse. So I think, I mean, to me, and what I want to try to communicate outside is that I think that exciting thing is that here it's really the community that is building this. We just built a small part. Yeah, maybe it's complex part, but I mean the real effort and the real value out here is from the community. So I think that as a community member, I would be very proud to be able to contribute in a very effective way to building this. And contributing to building this system doesn't require specific skills. Yes, I mean, if you are I mean, a great 3D creator, you can create content, but if you're not a 3D creator, you can still map the world with just a smartphone that you have in your pocket. So it's a very welcoming system, in my vision, that allows to anybody that is interested in this to take part of the action.
Fantastic. Beyond a doubt, ladies and gentlemen, this is open source. This is permissionless. So you guys could have an opportunity to be a part of the OVR community. Have a look at their token, OVR, also their overlands. Just Google them out. Also, you can get in touch with Mr. Tommaso on LinkedIn. I'm sure he won't mind. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of this podcast, but it's not over. Over is over there. So see you over a period of time. Okay.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.